The origin was Danny and some members of the Grateful Dead had been in San Quentin putting on a show. And he came across Reverend Earl Smith, who was the chaplain there.
I sort of watched Danny, I watched his excitement and his joy as he was bringing this group in, and that was my first time meeting him.
And Danny asked if there was anything they could do to help. And Earl Smith told him, look, these guys are going to be here for a while. Don't worry about them, but think about the kids that they've left behind.
We lived on the grounds of the prison, and Angel would look out the windows. And my kids were all going to camp. They'd go to summer camp and the sports camps and all of this, and she continuously see these women bringing in their children and sort of dragging them into the visiting room. And she realized they didn't have a camp.
What was interesting was, as that grew, a lot of the fathers in San Quentin, when they were doing interviews, said, I worry about my kids.
By this point, I was on the Rex Foundation board with Danny and the rest of the guys on the Grateful Dead. And I think Jerry was still alive at that point. And Danny broached it with the board and everyone and said, we want to do a camp. The early concept was, we need to have a place where kids are safe whose parents are in prison. And a lot of the kids were incarcerated by their communities, incarcerated by the notion that their parent was detained in a man-made system. And what we wanted to do was, how can we break that? Alternative ventures for at-risk youth. How do we break that incarceration, that notion of they're incarcerated by virtue of their parent being detained?
There was a lot going on in the beginning that was being done for the first time. Danny didn't know where to get the kids. I mean, here I am, I want to have a program, where do you find the kids? So the first couple of years, it was actually a struggle to find the kids and to get the trust of their caretakers or their foster parents or of the system to allow them to go away with Danny Rifkin and his friends, because there was no track record. And funding was a real problem. Many times in the first couple of years, Danny literally reached into his IRA account to fund the camp and said, don't worry, we'll find a way.
You teach them one little thing or two little things and they light up. They light up, and it's changed their life. You know their life has changed.
I always feel like there's something that's holding me down. So it feels kind of good to know that other people know what I'm going through
and be able to tell somebody that you'll trust and that won't tell anybody else.
You can get it, you really want what you desire. Try and try, try and try. You'll succeed at last.
The whole world should come to Avary just to get that sense of family, that sense of love, and to be able to go back to the world and actually want to share that part of themselves.
And I think as I grew older and kept going year after year, I noticed that the same staff were there year after year. And so it was something you could predict and something you could rely on.
I remember we're all in the cabin and it was just kind of very innocent, like, hey, your dad's in jail? Hey, my mom's in jail. Cool. And it was never pushed.
The background that I have with Avary, working with the youth, and me being so attached to the human body and how it works, I feel like combining those together, I can be very successful and have a very happy life.
somebody you really care about, someone you feel would really enjoy Avery. Being here at this campfire with them. I feel like being in law enforcement, you're the first person to be on a scene where maybe something happened to them. It could go from them making a bad decision to someone else doing something to them, and I want to be that change.
There was a time where like my parents were gone, my dad was in jail, my mom was nowhere, and I didn't like my foster parents. And I was just out every day, and I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go to college. I don't think it's gonna happen. The fact that I didn't know what was going on really, because I was young and I was just worried. Whenever I was feeling down or I wasn't having a good year, I'd go there, I'd restart, I'd have motivation to get through that whole year and just to do good so I could be a good example for the younger kids and just so I could show people that no matter what, you can always get to where you want to be.
I share my story with you today because I want you guys to understand how hard it is not to see your parents. That's my story.
I have the right not to be judged.
I have the right to see, speak, and touch my parent while visiting them in jail or prison.
We are the Peacemakers, and this is our Bill of Rights.
Just left and right.
Respect my life, respect my mind, respect my rights. Respect my life, respect my mind, respect my rights. Respect my life. Respect my mind, respect my rights. Stand up for your rights. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Don't give up the fight.
Since I didn't get to speak with, see, and touch my mom as much as I wanted to, I am now 17 years old and we don't have a good relationship.
At first I was nervous, but it's like while we were doing it, I was like, dude, this is what I've been planning for. It just came naturally.
Everything came together and I was done. It's like, woo, we almost some more, you know?
Yo quería